Good evening. Good evening. It's been raining like 3 or 4 days straight, y'all. So no heat on my hair today. Good evening though. Welcome to another episode of She Loves the Thursday Night Live. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Let me change this right here because this is already taking place. Let me change it. What is this? Let me see this. Oh. It says SWAC Saturdays, but it's not. Yeah, I'll be all right. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I'm going to start off the live with something not related to what I'm talking about. Nephew is already being messy. So tonight we are going to talk about IHL. They had a meeting today, which it's a monthly meeting. I didn't stream it because I didn't see anything on the docket that was like worth waiting an hour and a half for them to bring up, because most of it was just basically votes on approvals on things on the agenda. So we'll talk about the IHL meeting though, because there are a couple of things regarding Jackson State and Alcorn State and Valley that I did see that I can just pull out of the itinerary. And then let me see, what else do we have? Updates on some of our players that are undrafted free agents that signed. So we have Devontae Davis, who signed to the Colts. And then, of course, we have another one is Rob McDaniel. He signed to the Washington Commanders. So I've been following along, of course, Shador and Shiloh. And then we have, I want to say, Aaron Smith from South Carolina State. He is signed to the Jets. And there's a couple of other student athletes that went through HBCUs. And Kashawn is from Alabama State. And he signed with the Cleveland Browns after a rookie mini camp invite. So we'll be talking about, of course, those young men. And what are you guys drinking on tonight? I'm going to drink Gatorade because my son has he has games day tomorrow, and it's supposed to be like 86 degrees outside. So the first thing that we will talk about today, this is just off the subject, a situation that took place. And that is that some of you've been following along, maybe not so much. It's a lot when we have all these things going on in the SWAC. But as you know, FAMU is going underneath the interview process for their permanent president. Ed, you want me to talk about the Baltimore Ravens and Carson Vincent? Like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? I don't have any updates on Carson Vincent. Coconut water while my wine is chilling. Oh, I know that's right. Okay, so Ed is like a Cleveland Brown hater. I don't know. I think Ed needs to choose a side. Like, are you going to be a Cleveland Brown hater or are you going to be a HBCU lover? Come on, Ed. He said that the Cleveland Browns are their rival. I about said something about the rival part, but yeah. So anyway, as you guys know, FAMU is going underneath the presidential selection process. And there's a lady that basically is being pushed to be the front runner for this job. And she has no higher education experience. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar? Ed, be quiet. Oh God, please. Goodness. I got an update on Carson Wentz and he needs time to develop. I'm pretty sure that's why they drafted him in the 5th round with the usually some of the people that are drafted in the 5th and 6th and 7th round are kids that are not kids, but student athletes that need a little bit of development. But Ed, please. We're not looking for those types of updates, okay? We're looking for positive vibes only. Anyway, so I just wanted to keep you guys up to date because I guess right now they're doing the final interviews. There's, I want to say, 3 finalists. And so I'm going to go ahead and read Dr. Walter M. Kimbrough. He did an op-ed, and came out yesterday, The Not So Secret Plot to Destroy HBCUs. I thought that it was interesting and, it's kind of like needed to talk about it because HBCUs are all experiencing some of the same things to some degree. This is what he said. I'm finishing my year as the interim president of Talladega College. As reported, the college has experienced some difficult times. I arrived last June to try to help begin resolving the issues. We've made progress, but as I told our alumni recently, we've moved from life support to intensive care, but it is possible to go back on life support without significant support. We have a long road to recovery. I'm excited that Dr. Willie Todd Jr. has accepted the challenge. He's an HBCU grad and worked at several HBCUs in a senior capacity, including president. He gets it. I do too. Last summer, when I got a call from the board chair, I asked my wife. She's a Talladega alumna. She said, "That's my school," and kicked me out of the house. Okay, not really, but in short order, I was here. Knowing our challenges, I worked for the first 5 weeks for free, personally paid for all my college-related travel this year, and then donated over $15,000 this year. I've been all in all year long. Having served as a president of 2 HBCUs for almost 18 years, a vice president for 5, former chair of the UNCF member presidents, and members of the White House HBCU Advisory Board appointed by President Biden, I knew I could use my knowledge and relationships to help begin to address our issues. We can't fix everything this year, but there were several existential threats that we were able to avoid. And I'm grateful for the entire team here and my colleagues and friends that supported us this year. So as you know, they actually had to do a lot of budget cuts. And one of those things that was most notable for just anybody is they had to get rid of their gymnastics program, which they just started. And what does M in FAMU stand for? MAGA? Unk. Ed, please. Please, Ed, please. Okay. Let me finish reading. Oh, God. So basically, Dr. Kimbrough just explained all of the different experience that he's had underneath his belt and how he took the extra special. Um, Basically, he worked for free for the first 5 weeks. He paid for his college related travel and he donated over $15,000. So he's been in it. This is the type of, not saying that every president should do this, but he gets it in terms of the struggles that HBCUs face. So I knew I could use my knowledge and relationships to help begin to address our issues. So he just basically said that he's grateful for the entire team, his colleagues and friends that supported us this year. I want HBCUs to win, especially now when there's an assault on everything and everyone Black. But over the past few years, I've noticed a pattern that troubles me. The presidential search process has become hyper politicized, and we're now watching the fruits of this ploy to destroy HBCUs. It's being done through the presidential search process. Nowhere has this been more painfully evident than the search for the next president of Florida A&M University. I was not a candidate, so this isn't a sour grapes argument. I know two of the finalists, and I'm confident that either of them would be a great choice, but I, like many, raised eyebrows at the candidate who reportedly was a late addition finalist. On paper, she has no business being a finalist, period. As the nation's political leaders loudly preach merit, this candidate would clearly be labeled by them as a DEI hire if she was a finalist at a predominantly white institution. But there was no such challenge to someone with no higher education experience. I listened to her interview with the board. She was asked to name the peers of FAMU with specific interest in salary comparisons. Someone who knows higher education would have said just last week, the Chronicle of Higher Education published the article, "Who Does Your College Think Its Peers Are?" Based on a data each school submitted through iPads, one would have known that FAMU listed 5 peers, 16 institutions listed FAMU as peers, and only one listed FAMU that FAMU also listed, North Carolina A&T. Interestingly, FAMU listed no Florida State schools and none listed FAMU. So basically what he's saying is she didn't do any type of back work. She just doesn't know what she's doing. The plot to destroy HBCUs was on full display in states where ideologically conservative boards reign, which, as we can see in the state of Mississippi, our board is definitely conservative at IHL. They are pushing candidates wholly unqualified to lead. The question will be if they will ignore the massive resistance to this candidate and hire her, or realize that making her the president is an open declaration of war on FAMU. Recently, the alumni at Albany State University mounted a campaign against a rumored potential candidate, and the University System of Georgia did not select him. But those wanting to destroy HBCUs have other tactics. Many presidential searches are confidential, with the thought that a strong candidate like a sitting president would not apply if their interest became public. Because if they are selected, the relationship with their current campus might be strained or even destroyed. Having been a president, I fully understand this concern. But the downside is the public doesn't know what the pool looks like, and so they are unaware of the shenanigans that have taken place. Would you see people selected with little to no higher ed experience, no senior higher education experience, or no HBCU experience? You quickly realize there's a deliberate effort to undermine these institutions. So we've been experiencing it. This is serious. Jackson State has had this happen to them for the past, well, I'm not going to say that we've had it happen to us the past 5 years, because let me see. Our last candidate didn't really have that much higher ed education on there, or our last president before this president. This president that just left, he definitely didn't have any higher education. As Brandy said, he was on the copier machine and they said, "Hey, you want to be president?" He didn't even ask for it. The activism by the alums at Albany State and FAMU must be the norm going forward. What happened at FAMU to allow a completely unqualified candidate to sit as a finalist must never happen again. As Dr. Martin Luther King reminded us, a time comes when silence is betrayal. If we love HBCUs, we cannot continue this betrayal. The plot to destroy HBCUs is no longer a secret. We're watching it online. So once again, that's Dr. Kimbrough. He was the interim president of Talladega College, and he has served as president of Dillard University and Philander Smith University. Interesting enough, what is going on with Jackson State? We're not loud enough. Maybe because we're not actually going through the presidential search right now. Is that why we're quiet? Should we be outside IHL protesting for the recent president that we just got? The SWAC, we got the SWAC reporter in here, the SWAC historian. I don't know. So that's why when I look at the IHL meeting, they didn't have nothing. And when I say nothing, I literally mean nothing that like would shoot out at you and say, oh, let me look at this. They didn't have anything on there. So then I was like, what's going on? So now I understand it now. Basically, what took place is they're probably letting everything cool down, right? So I want to say this is where the Alumni Association comes in handy in terms of basically building a movement to let IHL know how upset we are about these last couple presidents. There's not been a movement. It's been real quiet. And I think possibly like purposefully, the meeting today that the board of trustees had, it was real like blah. Like it was just approving budgets, approving just some of the things that they normally do, right? Which for me, and maybe it's just because I'm a Jackson State alum, I'm livid about what took place and how we are now again with the interim president. And the board of trustees was kind of just like chilling. Just another day in the office. Nothing too much. On here, like we didn't just have a situation where we lost a president and they had to seek legal counsel for the possibility of litigation. Good evening. Good evening. So I copied and pasted the IHL. This was basically the board book. Listen, that stuff is always really, really long. It's 130 pages long. And so literally what I do is I hit the find button and then I just type in Jackson State and say, okay, what are you guys talking about in terms of Jackson State? Like, what is it that you guys are discussing? So I can basically read off to you what took place in the executive session. So basically, whenever they have minutes from, let me make sure I'm saying this correctly. Whenever they have a monthly meeting, whatever they did in executive session, they talk about in the next meeting. They don't divulge everything, but you'll basically get a little bit about what they were actually talking about. So on April 17th, they went into executive session. And so May, they're basically telling you what they were talking about. So on a motion by Trustee Cummins, seconded by Trustee Arrington, all trustees legally present and participating voted unanimously to close the meeting to determine whether to declare an executive session. On motion by Trustee Stevenson, seconded by Trustee Heidelberg, all trustees legally present and participating voted unanimously to enter executive session for the reasons reported to the public and stated in these minutes as follows. This basically, they're going to tell you what they were talking about. Okay. And I'm just reporting to you what they discussed. It doesn't really give any specifics. Sometimes they do. But due to the, I guess, liability and litigation that could possibly take place, they don't really say what it was. I guess you find out later on if somebody files a lawsuit or something. So receipt and discussion of privileged legal advice regarding compliance with state law, potential litigation, and legal liability related to the IHL system. Maybe that's somebody filing a lawsuit against IHL because they're not doing their job as hiring a president. Could that be it? Receipt and discussion of privileged legal advice regarding compliance with federal law, potential litigation, and legal liability related to a Mississippi Valley State University matter. So they received some type of information and sometimes they hire like outside counsel to handle some of these matters, but basically there's some type of legal liability possibly relating to something that happened at Mississippi Valley State University. They didn't say what it was, but that's what it said. Then this says discussion of a personal matter and related litigation regarding the job performance of a person holding a specific position at Jackson State University and related litigation. The discussion of these three items in open session would be detrimental to IHL's legal interests. So that's why we're not going to know the who, what, when, where, or why, because IHL is claiming basically the legalities of whatever these things are, that if they discuss it out in the open, that it could possibly hinder their case. So during the executive session, the following matters were discussed and or voted upon. So they basically received legal advice regarding compliance with federal law, potential litigation, and legal liability related to Mississippi Valley State University. No action was taken. The board discussed a personal matter and related litigation regarding the job performance. So this is the same type of language that they used when they had that emergency meeting regarding the president. Same type of the president of Jackson State, same type of like language. No action was taken during that time, which is they discussed a personal matter and related litigation regarding the job performance of a person holding a specific position at Jackson State University and related litigation. No action was taken. Legal liability related to the IHL system, no action was taken. So they were basically in there talking about all of these things and nothing came of it. Just kind of rolled off their back, I guess. All right. And then it just talks about legal fees that were paid, outside counsel in relation to litigation and others. So in this other exhibit, it just basically says they paid $5,313 for legal fees for professional services. And then another thing that they talked about was retroactive approval to hire outside counsel, and the outside counsel would basically review and revise staff and faculty handbooks and basically ensure that they're being in compliance. with everything. Here's something that, you know, this is pertinent, and that is after when will he start? Who are you guys talking about? Oh, you guys are talking football. Let me get through. I want to talk about football too. I want to talk about football. Hey, Dr. Brielle, let me hurry up and finish so I can talk about football too. All right. It might have went under the radar for you all, but when they basically promoted or appointed Dr. Denise Jones-Gregory, they also had to replace and it just came out today, so I'll read that article. But you can see it in IHL. Dr. McDaniels, she was the Dean and Professor, Division of Graduate Studies. They basically elevated her to Interim Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs. And then Carlos Wilson was the Associate Dean and Associate Professor of Division of Graduate Studies. She's going to now take over his place, or her place, excuse me, to Interim Dean and Associate Professor of Graduate Studies. They were approved today by IHL, basically. And so that's why Jackson State put out the article, basically. Funny thing, Dr. McDaniels was my professor back when I was a freshman at Jackson State. Yep. Freshman, sophomore year. She was, I took her class. Yeah. So let me read the article about Dr. McDaniels. Jackson State University announces the appointment of Dr. McDaniels as Interim Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs following the elevation of Dr. Jones-Gregory to Interim President. In addition, Dr. Wilson has been named Interim Dean of the Division of Graduate Studies, succeeding McDaniels in that role. These appointments reflect the depth of talent within our academic leadership, said Gregory. Dr. McDaniels and Dr. Wilson are prepared to lead with focus and integrity. Their experience will support continued progress in student achievement, faculty excellence, and the expansion of graduate education. I'm confident in their ability to uphold our mission and move Jackson State forward with purpose. She previously served as Dean of the Division of Graduate Studies and is Professor of English in the College of Liberal Arts. She's been a member of Jackson State faculty since 1999. She's chaired an academic department, led major accreditation initiatives, and secured competitive funding from the Alfred B. P. Sloan Foundation and the National Science Foundation via the Council of Graduate Schools. She's also served as project director of National Endowment for the Humanities Grant via the Mississippi Humanities Council. Her scholarship includes research in African American women's literature, service, learning, pedagogy, and portfolio assessment. She's a lifetime member of the Jackson State National Alumni Association and the Jackson Hines Alumni Chapter, where she serves as Scholarship Committee Chair. So she's going to oversee the university's academic strategy, faculty affairs, and current development across all colleges and schools. Her leadership will also help guide ongoing planning efforts, support for student learning outcomes, and preparation for future institutional milestones. And then, of course, this is Dr. Wilson, who will serve as the Interim Dean and Division of Graduate Studies for Jackson State. He served as Associate Dean of Graduate Studies and brings more than 15 years of academic and administration experience to his new role. He's a 3-time JSU graduate. He earned his bachelor's degree in 2004, a master's degree in 2006, and a PhD in urban higher education in 2012. He's a tenured associate professor of interdisciplinary studies and has led adult learning and initiatives across the university. And he was the director for the School of Lifelong Learning in JSU's College of Education and Human Development. Wilson expanded access for returning learners through programs such as Complete to Compete and Workforce Partnership. He's secured more than 20 grants in support of adult education, literacy, and international training, and recently helped modernize graduate admissions and dissertation guidelines. So, yeah, that's how our administration is looking right now, which I think that this is a step in the right direction in terms of stabilizing the boat. It was a little rocky there for the last couple of weeks, but stabilizing the boat and making sure to stay the course in terms of making sure Jackson State is successful. All right. I want to talk football too. Let me see what else I had to talk about. Oh, there's a couple of more things on IHL and then we're done. We're done. Oh, okay, I have one. Jackson State University is going to be implementing a new student health and wellness fee to better support the services and operations provided by the JSU Student Health Center and JSU Latasha Norman Center. So they requested a 30-day waiver of the 30-day review requirement. So basically, they wanted to make it happen as soon as possible. Hi, Mr. Ford.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. I'm just over here buying my time.
Oh, for real?
I was waiting on you.
Listen, I didn't know. Did you hear the economic forecast? Did you hear them talking about that this week?
Mr. Ford, you said that we wasn't going to have no food in a couple weeks. That's
No,
all I'm worried about.
the latest one now said that any item that was $3 this summer will go up to at least $8.50.
A $5.50 jump?
Yeah, yeah, they saying that we're going to go into we're in hyperinflation now. The prices are too high as it is. But this summer, we're going to see another jump. We're going to see another degree of hyperinflation.
Well, you know what? That's probably why they're doing so many sales right now. But the way that they're doing sales, Mr. Ford, is, I kid you not, they are making the stuff high and then saying buy one, get one free. An example of this is at Publix. They have olive oil.
Right.
Now, olive oil, probably last year anyway, it was like $14 a bottle or something like that. But like when I went to Publix the other day, it was $25 and it was buy one, get one free. So you were basically paying the same amount that you would pay if it wasn't marked down.
Oh, okay.
I believe it, Mr. Ford.
Yeah, that's what they were saying, that we're going to go to another.
The bottles keep getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, said that we're going to go to another degree of hyperinflation. The prices are going to get higher. And of course, the salaries will not keep up.
They're already outpaced.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, the other thing, I was told, did you hear that Howard University had 3,100 graduates? Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah, I read somewhere they had they said it took them 45 minutes to get all the graduates in. They said that they said that Howard's commencement.
When you say 3,100, you mean
they had over 3,000 graduates. Where's
You mean
Dr. Hey, Miss Whitley.
where's
Where's
Dr.
Dr.
Kanisha?
Kanisha? Where's Dr. Kanisha? Because she's supposed to
Dang,
let us know.
she
They said
might
that
not
they
want
had
to
over
come today.
3,100 graduates. Yeah, they
Mr.
said that
Ford.
it took them 45 minutes to come in.
Dang. Okay. That must have been some good olive oil. Yes, the best. It's the best kind, but
Oh,
I didn't buy it.
I
I
love
didn't
it.
buy it. I
You,
didn't buy that. Mm-mm.
you know, olive oil is good to take too. You mix olive oil with lemon juice and um, baking soda and that kind of stuff. So supposedly that helps to cleanse out your digestive system. Olive oil is really good.
I did not know that. Well, congratulations. That's big, Mr. Ford. That
Yeah.
is um I they actually have the graduation numbers listed in this IHL book. But anyway, the fee is going to be $37.50 for the summer and then $75 for uh, the fall and spring semester. And this is basically saying
Whoa.
that.
Did you see that? Riri said it was 3,500. You see that?
Yeah, Mr. Ford, a
That's
news outlet reported 3,500. That's
500.
really good.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I'd heard 3,100. Yeah, but I heard that it was something to see. I was reading about it. They said it was something to see all the graduates from all them different schools come in.
I remember when you bought it up, they were having all these different
Yeah,
schools
yeah,
graduate. They had like their
yeah,
own graduation, and then they
yeah.
must
That's
have
what
had.
I heard too. Because I heard it was like what, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the individual schools did theirs, and then the big one was Saturday, last Saturday at Howard, the real HU.
The
Yeah,
real HU.
the real HU.
Um, so also Jackson State is getting a certification in AI and cybersecurity.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be like an 18-month program.
Uh,
So intent to offer the following certificate programs: data science and AI for cybersecurity, the College of Science, Engineering, Technology Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering and Computer Science. It's a pre-bachelor certification, and its total credit hours is 18. And I don't know if that's a mistake or not, but it says effective date May 2024. Maybe they meant May 2025.
right. Yeah. So they get ready to start it this summer.
Right.
So, yeah,
One thing
that's
that
what
I
they
did
do.
notice is that the nursing programs, Mr. Ford, are not doing so well.
At Jackson State.
No, we don't have a nursing program.
Wait a minute. Jackson State doesn't have a nursing program.
No,
I'm surprised.
Alcorn has the nursing program.
Oh, okay. Alcorn has it. Okay. I know there's a lot of bragging on Southern's nursing program. I know a lot of people are bragging on their program about Southern's uh, nursing program. It's supposed to be one of the best in the country.
So it's interesting that IHL would approve another university to do a nursing program. So they basically approved Blue Mountain Christian University to start basically a Bachelor of Science in Nursing.
Well, that's close to our heart over in Atlanta because we got a severe shortage of nurses here in Atlanta. I don't know if I told you that, but we do. We
I
got
understand that, but it's just that like the reason why I'm saying something is because they blocked Jackson State, Alcorn, and Valley from having certain types of degrees because they said duplication.
Oh
Right?
yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
now all of a sudden you're able to do it. So This is basically the approval of accreditation of Mississippi nursing degree programs. So basically, Alcorn State University has continuing accreditation with conditions for the bachelor's and the master's in nursing. Copiah Lincoln Community College, Jones County Junior College, and University of Southern Miss had some issues, and basically some of them aren't meeting the state requirement for the pass rates. So it has to be 80% or above over a 3-year period. Annual nurse practitioner certification exam pass rates for all test takers, first and repeat, will be 80% or above over a 3-year period. And so that's just something that they're going through. But it's not just Alcorn. USM had the same issue on a couple of their nursing programs.
Okay.
Riri said Howard graduates 3,167, the largest in Howard history. Oren G says the Southern nursing program is top 5 in the nation. They just graduated 33 Black male nurses. Ooh, Alcorn's nursing program is #1 in the state of Mississippi. So yeah. So that's basically everything that I have for the IHL meeting. Alcorn had several different items on there. They've got some real estate items approved. And yeah. So that's good. All right. Mr. Ford. Okay, I'm so glad you're on because we can talk about Gibbs-Green. Let me pull that stuff up.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember when that happened.
Let me pull up the pictures. So yesterday was the anniversary.
Yeah.
For the Gibbs-Green tragedy at Jackson State University, where police officers opened fire on the student dormitory. I'm gonna put up the picture.
Miss Timon, I was in the 4th grade when it happened. I'll never forget it. We saw it on NBC News. Two guys reported it, Chet Huntley and David Brinkley. But the one that got the majority of the coverage happened at Kent State. But they happened, I think, the same year. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So Mississippi law enforcement officers opened fire on the Jackson State University campus, killing 2 Black students, Phillip Lafayette Gibbs and James Earl Green. Police insisted that the students fired first, but no evidence was found to confirm this. This killing took place 11 days after the slaying of 4 students at Kent State University in Ohio.
That's right.
Arthur Margaret Walker Alexander, a JSU professor, wrote in her journal, Thursday night, all hell broke loose. The Jackson City white police and a special unit of highway patrolmen, Ku Klux Klan uniform, went out to the Jackson State campus and shot without warning into the west wing of the women's dormitory, breaking all the front windows, killing 2 students and wounding 11 others, 4 critically cutting the telephone wires, shooting into the building where all the wounded girls were shot, splattering the place with pools of blood and leaving the bullet holes to prove where the ricocheted bullets of great magnitude had torn the walls.
Right. And remember that wasn't the first time. They had done that at South Carolina State I think in 68, was it 68 or
Isn't that why Deacon was kicked out? Because
no,
he
that
was
was before. That was after that. This was in 60. When the Orangeburg massacre occurred, Deacon Jones was playing for the Los Angeles Rams. This happened, I think in 68, because it was called the Orangeburg massacre, where they went in and shot up the campus. Yeah. You have to. Well, I tell people all the time. I grew up during the 60s. I was a little boy in the 60s, man. The 60s was something else. It was something else, not only just here in this country, but around the world. Yeah.
Let me read a little bit more. Phillip Lafayette Gibbs was a junior political science major, and James Earl Green was a senior at nearby Jim Hill High School.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh, yeah.
And it was the 55th anniversary of the Gibbs-Green tragedy yesterday.
Right. That's right. So it happened in 1970.
Yes, May 14th.
Yeah, I remember. Like I said, I was in the 4th grade. I remember watching it with my dad on the news. Yeah. I remember when Kent State happened. The National Guard did that. They came on campus. They were anti-war people. They were protesting against the war in Vietnam, because that was so dominant in the 60s. And they opened fire on them.
One of the cops in Mississippi kept the shotgun that killed one of the young black men. Wow, this is crazy. Yeah. But that's why I was just like, a lot of things that are happening today that we have to kind of like pause on, not being so quick to anger, not being so quick to protest in a different way, right? In a safer way, because the environment that we have now and the current administration, it kind of like feels like the 60s, right?
Oh, it's going to be worse than the 60s. What's getting ready to happen in this country is going to be worse than the 60s. See, the difference between the 60s and now is the panic is going to be because there's not going to be food, there's not going to be produce, that kind of thing. That's the difference. See, that was not a problem in the 60s. During the 60s, I mean, they were very upset about Vietnam War. Listen, it's a song I want you to play tonight before I get off. I'm
not playing no songs tonight.
Yeah, I want you to play a song for me tonight because it kind of tells you what the 60s was all about.
Oh, Lord.
I know. You got to play this song for me. Miss Simona, please play this song for me, okay? And the song is called Ball of Confusion, The Temptations. It was written by Norman Whitfield, but the song basically tells you what the 60s was all about. And not only were they fighting against, that unjust war in Vietnam, unnecessary war. Okay, you were spending millions and billions of dollars talking about you going to the moon, and then you got people in poverty, and you got all these things going on. It's just the 60s was like, it was like a bottle, and then that top comes off, and then that soda just explodes. That's what the 60s was. The 60s was something else. But if I would love you, please play that song. It was called Ball of Confusion. It's by the Temptations. It was written by. It was like Norman was a
Temptations, Mr. Ford.
Yeah, he was a songwriter, but he was a historian. He was a sociologist. His music was just awesome, and nobody the way the Temptations could perform it. It was just great. Just play that for one time. It's called Ball of Confusion by the Temptations. Just play that.
Okay, I'm going to look it up. Ball of Confusion.
Ball of Confusion. See if you can see where they actually perform it. That's the best one. That song came out 69 or 70. It epitomized what the 60s was all about. Because you got to remember, the 60s, the assassination of John F. Kennedy, 1963. The assassination of Medgar Evers, I think that was 63. The assassination of Malcolm X, 1965. Okay. The assassination of Martin Luther King, April 4th,
They
1968.
was taking him out, Mr. Ford.
Yeah,
They must have
because
had a
those people
list.
start for they represented change, and then the old guard of the people who actually run this country, they wasn't having it, so they would send in the CIA or whoever, and they would take them out. And not only here in America, it was the same way over on the continent in different parts of. Cause see, I'm gonna tell you something after you play. I just want you to play this song first, but I want to tell you something. But see if you can pull up. It's called "Ball of Confusion." The Temptations. That came out of Motown. The guy that wrote it was named Norman Whitfield. He wrote it too, baby. I'll never forget.
All of confusion.
Ball of Confusion. It was the Temptations. Just play it.
Okay, Mr. Ford. Ball of confusion. Is this a picture of them? Is this a picture of the Temptations? Ball of Confusion. Oh yeah, this is it right here.
Okay.
It's a picture of them.
Man, I want everybody to listen to the word. And if you ever get a chance, I want you to pull a picture of that guy Norman Whitfield. This guy was brilliant. He he encompassed in that music, in that Motown music, because he's one of the chief writers for Motown. He encompassed what was going on in America during this time. But I just want you to listen to the words. The writer was Norman Whitfield, the performers of the Temptations.
Let me see if it's on there now.
Yeah, it should be on it. Ball of Confusion, the Temptations.
All right, let me know if you can hear it.
Okay.
Mr. Ford.
Oh, I told you this guy Norman Whitfield, he was brilliant. Did you hear all of the things he dealt with? That's telling you what was going on in the 60s. This guy Norman Whitfield put all of that together.
Basically,
Temptations.
Basically, not only a spiritual war, but a actual physical war on soil.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, when you go back
You
and
said
look
that's
at
the Vietnam. My
see,
grandfather,
yeah,
he fought in that war.
yeah,
My uncle also fought in that war. He fought in the war, and there was something that happened where he was I guess they were fighting, and he got gassed somehow, and whatever was in that gas, it messed up his brain. Like
yeah,
the
yeah.
rest of his life, he went to Vietnam fine, but when he came back, he was disabled basically for the rest of his life.
Oh yeah,
Couldn't
yeah. See,
talk
you
to
have to remember, we have not recovered from Vietnam yet. Even though we put Saigon fell in 1975, America's never recovered from that. But here's the thing: in a period after the World War II, World War II comes to an end in 1945. You go from 1945 to the present day, 2025. America's been in like 13 wars. They've been in 13 wars. And then people say, well, where's all this money gone? And why is China so rich and America ain't got it? We burn up our money in war, in unnecessary wars.
I think the big thing is where we've been in several different wars, but they haven't officially declared it war. And I guess they don't want to declare it war for some reason, but that, all they call them occupations, right?
Well,
or
you can see you can go into a war with an executive order. Okay. No, we have not had a declared war, but we've been in war. Okay.
right.
Yeah. Like I told you, look at the money that this country's burned up since 1945 in wars. We've had like 13 wars.
What did we have? The Gulf War.
Oh, baby. See, let's go back again. See, many of the wars were undeclared.
Right.
Some of the wars were carried out by the CIA. All right.
Are you talking about where they would go and destabilize different countries?
Yeah, it was coup d'etat, or you would either destabilize the government or you would kill their leader. Now, the thing with the CIA is that what they say about the CIA gets $39 billion from the American government yearly.
How much?
39 billion.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, 39 billion. Supposedly they've credited with killing 7 million people. When you look at African history, especially during the 1950s and 60s, the two countries who killed the most African leaders was US and France. They killed a lot of African leaders because they would go in and tell them, listen, you're going to do this, you're going to give us your natural resources. And if the leader did not agree to it, then they took him out. Okay, Patrice Lumumba, Kwame Nkrumah. They didn't assassinate. They attempted to assassinate Kwame Nkrumah, but what they did, they destabilized his government, and he was forced out. Okay. Oh man, there were so many. The guy in Guinea-Bissau. What happened with him was
Gaddafi, ain't they? Gaddafi.
Yeah, Gaddafi. Yeah.
Okay, so
Gaddafi did two things that really upset these people over here. Number one, he said that he was going to bring the technology, the technology to make Africa self-sufficient as far as the water, because clean water is a problem over there. The second thing he said was that the African countries needed to go away from the American dollar and use a gold standard.
Currency.
Get their own currency. And that caused him to lose his life. Because one thing, there's a book, I'm trying to think of the name of that book.
But they said that he was not that even, okay, so aside from the fact, I guess it's one of those double-edged swords, because they said that he ruled with an iron fist and there was a lot of death that transpired.
Yeah, he was a military. He ruled for 40-something years, I think it was.
Yeah, like they said that he was not a good leader in terms of his people. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, because it's like America and the rest of the world leaders would allow him to treat his constituents like that, as long as he let them have the American dollar connected to their economy, and as long as he basically obeyed the rules. Meaning, I did when I was taking my courses for pre-law, one of the political science studies that we did, we talked about how Africa, in terms of their leaders, they are so corrupt.
Right. But not all. Now listen, we can't put them all in that bag, because there were some African leaders who were stating what Marcus Garvey said, Africa for the Africans. But the only thing was, when they would say that either they lost their lives or their government was destabilized. Because now I'm going to tell you right now, I know some Pan-Africanists, they would go tooth and nail against what you just said about Gaddafi. They love Gaddafi. Okay. When I said about Gaddafi was talking about putting in that water system throughout the Horn of Africa. And, at one time Gaddafi had said he was going to give Minister Farrakhan $1 billion, and the government stopped him from doing it. Now, that's why I say now, it's kind of like an opinion thing, because like I said, I know some Pan-Africanists.
Well, the amount of people that died under his regime, that's not an opinion thing.
Well, yeah, because you got to understand, one of the things you had in those countries, you had agent provocateurs, you had spies, you had people who were just like one of the guys.
Just like the movie Black Panther, Mr. Ford.
Yeah, like the movie Black Panther. But I was about to say, with this guy Ibrahim, one of his top guys was offered like what, $1 billion to kill him.
$1 billion American money?
Yeah, they offered him $1 billion to kill Ibrahim Traore. Yeah, but he didn't do it.
Oh, he's
Now the guy
loyal.
that was a leader in the 80s in the same country in Burkina Faso, they bribed his best friend to kill him. And they did it.
So that's okay. So that's what happened with like our leaders. The people that took them out were people that infiltrated, whether it was Malcolm X, or I honestly think that Dr. King was killed like somebody. Everybody knew that he was getting ready to get assassinated that was around him.
Yeah, yeah.
And
yeah.
when I say everybody, I mean...
Now listen, Dick Gregory always said it was a CIA operation. He always said it was a CIA operation. Not only that, he said that the people that knew Malcolm told them that he was going to be killed. He knew it. Dr. King supposedly told his top lieutenants as early as 60. Okay, he was killed in 68.
I think it's when he started making a turn, right, Mr. Ford? Because at first, Jesse, wouldn't you agree that they were utilizing him in a way that promoted like, be calm, don't.
Well, they were manipulating. But here's the thing: the thing that was his death knell was when he went up to New York to that Riverside church and condemned America as the biggest criminal government in the world.
When that was like a nail in the coffin for him.
Yeah, they listen. According, there's a book I'm gonna get you to pull it up for us. It was called oh man, what was that book called? The guy was named, he was from the University of Anchorage, Alaska. He wrote about, wait a minute. Professor Kenneth, I think his name was Professor Kenneth O'Reilly. He wrote this book called Racial Matters. That's the book. You got to get it. Matter of fact, see if you can pull it up. It's called Racial Matters. In the book,
the FBI's secret file.
Black
America from
see if you can put it up on your screen. Now, in the book, he tells you that before King makes that speech at Riverside Church, there were 300 agents watching him. Once he makes that speech and condemns
300?
America, they had they went from 300 to 3,000. They went from 300 to 3,000. Yeah. Once he made that speech at Riverside,
you don't even know who
out of
the people were the.
Well, I mean, before he died, his photographer admitted that he was an FBI agent and that he was reporting to J. Edgar Hoover on every move King was made. King had no idea this guy was like his photographer. That guy was an FBI plant. That was an African that was with Dr. King and then when he got killed on the balcony of the Lorraine Hotel, that guy was a CIA agent. He was the one that's pointing them to the other way. The way that they're looking at where they thought King was shot, that's not where King was shot from. Some guys on the ground. Them guys was on the ground. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I guess you can.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yep, I can hear you.
Oh yeah. So
I pulled it up, Mr. Ford, the Racial Matters, and it just says,
yeah, everybody needs to get that. That book is so informative. It was written by a guy at the university. Yeah, this book is awesome, man. Man, that book is awesome. Racial Matters. It's awesome.
Kenneth O'Reilly tells the shocking story of how political loyalties, priorities, and prejudices turned a government agency into an adversary instead of a protector of civil rights.
Yeah.
But that's probably why, like, all that studying that they did. We're in a battle in baseball versus, I guess the Tigers are
Now this is not the tournament is.
No.
Okay.
Top of the ninth, Tigers 8, Southern 7.
Okay, y'all playing Southern. Is this in Jackson or in Baton Rouge?
Tiger Nation, the undefeated.
Is this game is in Jackson? Is the game in Jackson? Is the game in Jackson?
Yes.
Okay, I'm wondering. I wonder how. Can anybody tell us how's the crowd? Is it a big crowd?
It should be.
The school is out, right?
Oh, yeah.
School is out.
JSU's football team, just 5 of them signed undrafted free agents. My nephew Evan Henry didn't get signed.
Okay, who got signed? Who got signed?
I think he's talking about. I don't know who Don Burford is talking about. He can probably name them in the chat, but he said that his nephew Evan Henry didn't get signed. But that does not mean that he can't still make a practice squad or go to the what's the XFL?
Yeah.
There's still some other opportunities.
Okay, I see it. Yeah, they said they're gonna show the crowd. Okay.
Attorney Walker says, I read Racial Matters at Jackson State. Very deep.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
So would you say that is a reason why, like, the FBI and the CIA studied, like, how Black people are, and that is why they don't like it when Black people come together as one to do things? They always try to, like, break it up.
Oh, without a doubt. Remember now, the FBI was formed because J. Edgar Hoover helped to frame and destroy the movement of Marcus Garvey, and to reward him for what he had done. He was a young, like a federal lawyer. They gave him the position as head of the FBI. But when he came up with the plan to destroy Marcus Garvey and his movement, there was no such thing as the FBI. That was given to him later. Okay. But the whole thing with Garvey was seen as a threat to England and to France. Then those two countries approached America and said, listen, what you gonna do about that Negro right there doing all that talking up in New York? And that's
he's the one that wanted us to go back to Africa, right?
Oh, he was doing all kind of, yeah, he was not only that, he was saying, put your money together, build factories, go out and buy ships, do the farming. See, most of the stuff that Elijah Muhammad did with the Nation of Islam, the ideas for that came from the UNIA. Most people don't know that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was a member of the UNIA. So were Malcolm X's mother and father. Malcolm X's mother wrote for the UNIA newspaper, which was called the Negro World. Okay, one of the things that got Malcolm's dad killed was that he was teaching. He would preach on Sunday. Then in the evenings, he taught Garveyism.
Oh, who was
and that's what got him? Huh?
Who was teaching Garveyism?
Malcolm's dad.
Oh,
yeah. He was teaching Garveyism. He was a agent of the Garveyite movement.
So can you explain to me what that was? Because I sometimes I hear people say that now as well. It's that we should all go back to Africa. But a lot of people, their roots, of course, are for as far back as they can go is in America.
The whole thing was what Garvey was preaching was not just go back to Africa. Okay. He was saying that first and foremost, we were a diaspora, that the so-called Black man, woman, and child was all over the world. There was nowhere in the world you could go and you could not find the black man, woman, and child. If you went to Russia, they were there. If you went to Hungary, they were there. If you went to India, they were there. If you went to South America, they were there. Even in the North Pole, he said there were black people that looked like folks in New York. Okay. So, but his thing was that the continent of Africa belonged to the African people. And he felt that the African people should come together, okay, come up with a program, come up with an army, and then their number one activity was that they bring that army together to drive the Europeans out of Africa. Because he said Europe's riches came from Africa, which everybody, you know, common sense, we know that. Everybody knows that no other continent has more mineral wealth and resources like the continent of Africa. Okay.
Right.
Now you got to go back to, I guess I could remember the Berlin Conference, 1884, 1885, when they took Africa and split it up like a pie. England took a lot of it. France took a lot of it. Belgium got what we now call the Congo or Zaire. The English also got South Africa. They got Egypt. The French got Senegal. England got Nigeria. England got Ghana. You know, they took it over. They colonized the continent. Okay. Then they basically turned the people into slaves within their country, took over the government, and then they started taking the wealth out of Africa, bringing it to Europe.
Right.
Okay?
The gold.
But now I'm skipping a little bit because you got to understand this. In the 1500s, the Portuguese started the slave trade. Now, the slave trade in itself, which was about 300 years, was about the 1500s to the 1800s. That made all, especially the Western Europeans and some of the Arab nations, made them very rich. The North Atlantic slave trade. Now, I didn't go over that, but that made those people very rich. But I'm starting as a context at 1884, the Berlin Conference. Now, what Garvey understood was that World War I, they were fighting about who would control Africa. The Germans, even though they hosted the Berlin Conference, they kind of were left out. England got a lot, France got a lot, Belgium got a lot, Portugal got a lot. Do me a favor, put up on your screen, just read maybe 3 or 4 lines about, put up the Berlin Conference, 1884. Put on your screen that the Berlin Conference.
Berlin Conference, 1884.
And then read a few lines about that.
Okay. The Berlin Conference, also known as the Congo Conference or West Africa Conference, was a meeting organized by Otto von Bismarck, the Chancellor of Germany, and held in Berlin, Germany. It brought together 14 European powers and the United States as an observer to regulate European colonization and trade in Africa during the new imperialism period. So the major participants were Germany, France, Great Britain, Portugal, Belgium, Italy, Spain, and others. No African nations were invited or involved.
Right. That's right. Okay. Now, here's what I want you to understand about that. Even though the Germans hosted that meeting, they left that meeting pissed off because they basically didn't get really anything. They didn't get what England got. They didn't get what France got. They didn't get what Belgium got. They didn't get what Portugal got. That was the main reason we had. Now, that was an armament build-up before 1914. Everybody was putting all their money into military hardware. But what everybody had their eye on at that time was the mineral wealth and the resources on the continent of Africa. That's what World War I was all about. See, they lied to you and tell you it was a war for democracy. That's a lie. It wasn't a war for no democracy. It was all about the mineral wealth of Africa. Now, guess who knew all of that? How about that Marcus Garvey? And he told it to the people in America. He said, they fighting over your land. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Booker T. Washington dies in 1915. At the time of his death, he's the most powerful black man in America. When he dies in 1915, it then shifts to one of his disciples, Marcus Garvey, and then one of his detractors, Dr. W.B. Du Bois. Okay. Now, here's the problem. Du Bois is an integrationist. He says we must assimilate into white culture. All right. Garvey says the worst thing you can do is to integrate. When you integrate, you make yourself a slave. So you had Du Bois, head of the crisis, a part of the NAACP. Then you have the United Negro Improvement Association, two direct opposite organizations. But here's the problem. They're fighting for the hearts and minds of the black man and woman and child in America. Guess who's winning? The UNIA, with the pageantry, the uniforms, the discipline. You know how people, when they would see the Nation of Islam, how they would just be, especially during the Malcolm time, they would be taken by the discipline. They had it under Garvey. Listen, Garvey called for black people around the world to come to New York. Guess what? 24,000 people showed up at Madison Square Garden. Not the Madison Square Garden you're looking at today where the Knicks play, but the original Madison Square Garden. That's when the government said, we got to do something about this Negro. He got to go. And then Du Bois and them being jealous, Du Bois, A. Phillip Randolph, Chandler Owens, all that crew, they jealous. Because here's the thing about Garvey and A. Phillip Randolph and Chandler Owens. When Garvey initially comes from Tuskegee, because remember, he was invited to America by Booker T. Washington. That's lost in history. He was invited here. Gets to Tuskegee, Booker T. Washington's dead. He hates Colonel Moulton. That's who has taken over after Booker T. Washington dies. He leaves Tuskegee and goes where? New York City. When he gets to New York City, he is befriended by Chandler Owens, A. Phillip Randolph. Now, you know who A. Phillip Randolph is, right? A. Phillip Randolph, he's the one that pushed President Roosevelt to hire blacks in the war industry because he said, if you don't do it, we're going to have a big march. Roosevelt said, no, tell you what, we're going to hire him. Later on, 1963, he's big in that March on Washington, but he's an older man. Okay, got to look him up. But anyway, initially, A. Phillip Randolph, Chandler Owens, they helping Garvey. They turn against him because of the rise of Garvey. Garvey becomes the most
one of those things where I want to see you do well, but not better than me.
There you go, baby. Jealousy. You know we got that problem, don't you? You know we got that problem. That's that. You know, like the Chinese told that drug dealer from Detroit, say black people the greatest folks on the earth. But one thing about it, y'all ain't got no unity, so you easily defeated. Always keep that in mind. Always keep that in mind. Them Chinese told them, said, listen, y'all the greatest athletes, you the greatest entertainers, you the greatest mathematicians, you the greatest educators. But one thing about y'all ain't got no unity. And so anybody can defeat you. Yes. So, you know, we've had that problem. You know, some people call it crabs in the barrel. That's what they call it, crabs in the barrel. But anyway, to get back with Garvey, Garvey called for a meeting. 24,000 people showed up at Madison Square Garden. You can look it up.
I am. Madison Square Garden.
And Madison Square Garden, not the one we're looking at on TV today, but the original Madison Square Garden. And they said he gave an electrifying speech. And then, you know, Garvey would always have them big parades in Harlem. And everybody would be out trying to see them parades. He'd put on an outfit like he was a conqueror. And the next time he'd have on an outfit like he was a scholar. You know, there are a lot of pictures about the Garveyite movement. There was a guy named James Vander Zee. He photographed Garvey totally. If you ever get a chance, look his stuff up. James, I think his name. Isn't it James Vander Zee? This guy was a photographer for about 60 or 70 years, but he definitely did the Garveyite movement. Yeah. But if you ever get a chance, but like I said, it was the French and the English. They were afraid because Garvey was saying Africa for the Africans. He was an anti-colonialist. He made, I mean, he didn't, try to, he said, we got to run the Europeans out of Africa. And we first got to form an army. And they did have like a paramilitary thing of, they were black men. They were dressed as soldiers, but they didn't strike out at nobody because if you look at our history, we haven't declared war on anybody in 2,000 years. Now we fight for different countries and stuff like that, but as far as us as a nation, we haven't declared war on anybody in 2,000 years.
I ain't heard nothing else about Ukraine.
When Biden was president, that's all you hear about. I ain't heard nothing else about Ukraine or Russia since they got into it at the office. And I haven't heard nothing. I haven't seen anything with the Palestinians and Israel.
Let me just say this. Let me just say this. Well, see, actually, the Ukrainian thing is going on. See, the thing now is the Chinese. See, we have this idiot, and the Chinese are playing chess. Okay, now I want you to listen to me carefully. Let me show you how brilliant the Chinese are. See what Xi or whatever they call him, the leader of China, is doing. He started with Japan and South Korea. He called a meeting with them. His proposal to them was this. He said, listen, every agreement that you have with America, I want you to shut it down and we will replace it. Okay? Secondly, I want you to get the Americans out your country and I want you to shut down all the American bases. Okay? Now, Japan is looking at, because, historically, the Japanese and the Chinese did not get along at all. At one time, the Japanese invaded China. Okay?
Right.
But here's the thing. Now, they've come together. Now, Xi leaves that meeting. He goes and meet with the Cambodians, the Vietnamese, the Laotians, the people of Singapore, Myanmar, and tells them the same thing. Every agreement we got with America, I want you to take America off and we will replace it. But we want you to get the Americans out your country and we want to shut down all American base. So what are the Chinese trying to do? They're trying to isolate America out of what we call the Pacific Rim and the Southeast Asia. Now, that's not a game of war, it's diplomacy. But they're very strategic at what they're doing. And I tell everybody, watch the Chinese. Now, here's the thing I was going to tell you earlier. And I want you to play this for me. In 1955, most people, when they hear 1955, they think of Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, Montgomery, Alabama. But there was another meeting of people of color that they don't want you to know about. It was called the Bang Dong Conference. Now, here's the thing about the Bang Dong Conference. The central theme was everybody from Africa, Asia, South America, the Caribbeans can come, but the white man cannot come. They said everybody can come, but the white man. Now, the person who made the Bang Dong Conference or became the voice of the Bang Dong Conference was a black man in America by the name of Malcolm X. Now, this is what I want you to put into your computer. Put Malcolm X's speech on the Bang Dong Conference. Just play it about maybe 2-3 minutes, but you want to hear some power and you want to hear why this guy was so popular in Africa and Asia. Just listen to that speech for 3 minutes. See if you can look it up. It's called Malcolm X speech on the Bang Dong Conference. This was 1955. See if you can pull it up.
Are they going to still allow us to listen to it?
Yeah, you can hear it. Matter of fact, they observed it here in America. This was I want to say it was 70 years ago it happened. But put in Malcolm X on the Bang Dong Conference. Just listen at what he says, and then you will see why he was so respected in Africa and Asia.
Malcolm uses the 1954 Bandung Conference of African and Asian Nations as a model for Black unity in America.
Right. See if you can play it. See if you can play it. Man, it's so powerful. This is Malcolm X. This is one of the greatest speeches he ever made. And he's talking about world politics.
Malcolm X on the Negro Revolution.
Wait a minute. Is that the one? Let's see if that's the one he's talking about, the Bandung Conference. See if you can play it.
Okay, let me make sure. Okay, no, that's not it. That's Michigan State University.
No.
You got me over here working for this Bandung Conference.
Yeah, that Bandung Conference.
Malcolm X speech
on the Bandung Conference.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah, see if you can play that. Just play a little bit of it. Man, you talk about power. And I'm telling you, this is why they love that guy in Africa and Asia. When you hear that speech he made on the bank, he became the voice of the bank, and he wasn't even there.
He wasn't even there.
No, he wasn't there. But he became the voice of the guy who was there was Adam Clayton Powell. He was there.
I think this is it.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if this is it. I can't for certain say, but I'm thinking this will be it. Okay, let me see.
54 was the first unity meeting in centuries of Black people. And once you study what happened at the Bandung Conference and the results of the Bandung Conference, it actually serves as a model for the same procedure you and I can use to get our problem solved. At Bandung, all the nations together, they were dark nations from Africa and Asia. Some of them were Buddhists, some of them were Muslim, some of them were Christian, some of them were Confucianists, some were atheists. Despite their religious differences, they came together. Some were communists, some were socialists, some were capitalists. Despite their economic and political differences, they came together. All of them were black, brown, red, or yellow. The number one thing that was not allowed to attend the Bandung Conference was the white man. He couldn't come.
That's a new rule on the left hand. He was the leader of India.
Who?
That looks like Kwame Nkrumah. He was the leader
Right
of
here?
Ghana. Yeah, he's right there on the left. That's Nasser. He's third from the right. He was the leader of Egypt. That's Kwame Nkrumah next to Nehru. All of them were at the Bandung Conference. It was Africa, especially African Asians. Even the Chinese, Chou and Lion, all of them were there. Everybody was there. But like he told you, the theme was the white man couldn't come.
He looks white right there on the very end.
I can't see. Let's see. I'm trying to think who was it.
That's definitely a white man. All the way on the end.
Yeah, that looks like I can't identify who is that.
That must have been before they went to the
was attended by the many important anti-colonial figures of the time. Kwame Nkrumah, leader of soon-to-be independent Ghana, Prime Minister of Burma, as well as the American Congressman Adam Clayton Powell Jr., and famed author Richard Wright, and countless others.
Richard Wright, the one that wrote that what book
Native
did he
son.
write?
Richard Wright was from Mississippi. He was a Mississippian. He went to high school in Jackson.
He had to read that book.
Yeah, he remember he wrote Native Son. What else? He wrote a bunch of, yeah. He was there. He spent a lot of time in Africa. Yeah. Yeah, Richard Wright was there. Yeah. Now, like I said, when we think of 1955, we think of Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, and the Montgomery bus boycott. Most people don't know nothing about the Bang Dong Conference and how important it was.
Well, they said, thank you for the history lesson, Mr. Ford. They know you ain't teaching these, they ain't getting these gems. Native Son and Black Boy, yes, by Richard Wright.
Richard
Yes,
Wright.
yes.
Now, you know, the lady from she you know, Jackson State celebrated her 100th birthday. Her name was Margaret Walker. You remember her?
Yes.
Margaret Walker, the Native Son was an actual true story. Margaret Walker did all the background work. She gave the background work to Richard Wright, and then he wrote the book off of what she had compiled for him. That's how he wrote that book, Native Son. He was so powerful. Margaret Walker was in love with him, but at the time he only liked white women. He liked white women. He didn't like, you know, he's kind of like Shannon Sharp. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Ford.
Huh?
He said he was liking on them white women.
Yeah, he liked them white women. He didn't have no time, no black woman.
Oh,
No,
Lord.
that wasn't that thing. But she talked about how she was so brilliant. She was in love with him.
Richard Wright lived on Lynch Street and attended the Smith Robertson School. Oh, wow.
Yeah. I knew he had gone to school in Jackson.
I read his book in school. Now that book, I definitely read that for I don't know if it was African American history back when they actually had it before the DEI rollover.
You know what you have to remember now, Richard Wright, the only reason he wasn't considered the premier black writer was because of that guy Langston Hughes. Because that, you know, Langston Hughes was something else, man. See, we don't even have to get into that now. That guy Langston Hughes, not only was he something else, he went a number of years, man. The government went after him too. They basically made him apologize for some of the stuff he had written. Because that man, listen, he had I can't think of a name. It was a cartoon character he had back in the 30s and 40s. I can't think of it. It was Langston Hughes. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Oh, this guy Langston Hughes. You know, Langston Hughes, I read one time, he said that he was in New York and Mary McLeod Bethune, the lady who started Bethune-Cookman University, sent him some money and told him to come down to Daytona Beach, and she wanted him to teach her students. And so he came down, drove down to
Daytona Beach,
and he spent maybe a week or two with the students, and then he told Miss Mary McLeod that he was getting ready to go back to New York. And she stated to him, she said, "Listen, I'm gonna go back with you. I'm gonna ride with you." And he said it's the greatest trip he's ever taken. How, you know, he said that every town that they stopped in between Daytona Beach and New York, Mary McLeod Bethune was treated like a queen. He said it's the best trip he had ever taken. They were like, man, he said that lady's pool was so big. He knew that she was important, but he didn't know she was like that. Every little town they stopped in, the people was like, man. Because my mother grew up my mother was born in the 30s, and she told me that Mary McLeod Bethune would come to Albany, Georgia. And she said the schools, they would be waiting on her. It was like the black president had come. And she said that he would come to Albany to visit the president of Albany State. His name was Dr. John Holly, I think it was. He was the guy who started Albany State University. But she would come to Albany. And my mother told me what it was like when she was like a conquering hero. There you go. Thank you, Trent. That's right. Jesse B. Simple. Oh, you got to read that stuff. You talk about brilliant. You listen, Mr. Mona, you got to read that stuff by Langston Hughes. It was a cartoon. It was called Jesse B. Simple. Oh, it is brilliant. It's brilliant.
So this picture that I have on on the screen says, with great admiration to Mary McLeod Bethune, sincerely, Langston Hughes.
Yeah.
So that was a picture.
Yeah. She would have him to come down and teach her students. But he said that she went back to New York with him one time, and he said every town they stopped in, they were treated like, royalty. That's the kind of respect that lady had.
So they said that basically the best of simple. Was that what it is?
That's it. That's Now we had to read that when I was that stuff is powerful. Now after World War II is over, Joseph McCarthy, I think his name Joseph McCarthy. They put Langston Hughes on trial because his writings were too powerful. They said we can't have that.
They put him on trial. On trial for what?
For being too strong and too black. They put, but he wasn't the star of the show. He acquiesced. He actually apologized. The star of the show was a guy named Paul Robeson. He told them white folks, I ain't apologizing for nothing. I'm saying what I want to say. And what the white people did at that time, the biggest black celebrity was Jackie Robinson, and they went and got Jackie Robinson to come and talk about Paul Robeson. But he didn't take it. He understood what was going on. He knew that Jackie Robinson was being manipulated and all of that. Because later on, his autobiography is called Here I Stand, one of the greatest books you can read. It's the life of Paul Robeson. But anyway, Paul Robeson took his son to see the Brooklyn Dodgers. And Jackie Robinson, of course, showed out in the game. And his son is telling the dad, Paul Robeson, I want to meet Jackie Robinson. And Paul Robeson has to tell his son, Jackie can't be seen with me. We can't do it. He can't be seen with me.
Why?
Because he had been labeled. He had been blackballed. Listen, I talked to a lady one day. She told me in today's money, Paul Robeson was making like $2 million a year. When he started speaking out against lynching and against racial oppression in America, he started speaking out against colonialism in Africa. They basically approached him and said, listen, you're the biggest black star in America. You cannot do this. You can't take a stand this strong. He told them to go to hell. So they said, what we'll do, we'll get him economically. And that's what they did. They basically bankrupted him, took him all of his money. He had a mansion in Connecticut. They forced him to move out that mansion. And what he started doing was he would do little concerts. He made like $8,000 a year, $2,000, something like that. But they basically did him worse than what they did to Kanye West. Remember when Kanye West was out of control and they said, okay, we'll stop you. Right. Okay, he said he had $6 billion. The government said he had $2 billion, but all of them agreed he was down to $500 million. Okay. The one of the first people they did that to was Paul Robeson. Yeah, Paul Robeson.
So Mr. Moore says that you need to set up your own channel and start reporting.
That's why I got you. Everybody tell me I need to know. I'm gonna be with you. That's why you keep your show. I'm gonna be with you. That's all I'm worried about. Because I don't need nothing. I'm gonna be with you. I'm gonna be with Miss Timona.
You heard it first.
That's right. I'm gonna be with Miss Timona.
Miss Whitley said, Kanye's still out of control, Mr. Ford. Taking away his billions didn't do nothing.
Hey, listen, Kanye said he had $6 billion. The government said he had $2 billion. And we heard lately they got $500 million. So, boy, look at him. Yeah, Kanye said he had $6 billion. The government said he had $2 billion. Yeah.
So, Mr. Ford, have you heard?
Dr. Kanisha on here. You see it, that Dr. Kanisha, they've been bragging about Howard's graduation now. They've been bragging. They said y'all got the baddest graduation ever.
Dr. Kanisha, they said that there was over 3,100 plus students graduated.
Yes. And they said it was beautiful to see all of them graduates come in that the march in, the processional. Yes, they did. They said it was a beautiful thing.
Mr.
Listen,
Ford,
Berea HU, huh?
3,186 students. It's their largest
Yeah.
class in history.
Listen, they've been bragging about Howard now, what they call them the real HU.
Mr. Ford,
Hmm?
do they usually bring the band during that so that they can play music during there?
They
Or
probably
no?
have a symphonic band, don't you? You have the orchestra and all of them people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the orchestra there.
Look, Howard is doing it. And we
HU,
need
the
the
real
real
HU. The real HU.
127 new MDs.
Ooh.
Yes.
Boy, look him. Now let me tell you this. Now you don't remember this, but tomorrow. But they had a president down at Florida A&M. His name was Dr. Frederick Humphreys. And what he told the people that
let me get his.
His name was Dr. Frederick Humphreys. And let me tell you what he told the people at Florida A&M. He said, listen, we gonna go up and we gonna match Howard University, because you know Howard University is the only black university with a medical school and a law school. And so he was able to get the law school back, because at one time FAM did have a law school in Tallahassee, and they took it from him and put it over there at the campus of Florida State. But anyway, they got the law school back. But here's the thing. When he went after the medical school, Jeb Bush went and got a guy named Louis Sullivan to help fight against it. That's why FAM don't have the medical school right now. Look up Louis Sullivan was a graduate of Morehouse College. He's from a place called Blakely, Georgia. And so
he went and got one of our own from the HBCU.
Yes, he did, because he was one of their Negro. Because see, let me tell you something. A lot of people don't know this, but the reason that Morehouse has a medical school is because of the relationship between Louis Sullivan and the Bush family. That's how they got that medical school. That's how they got that medical school over at Morehouse. Now, them Negroes over there try to deny it and claim that ain't true, but it is.
Louis Sullivan was Secretary of Health and Human Services.
That's right. He's a Morehouse graduate. He was from Blakely, Georgia, I think. I think he's still living. Isn't he still living?
I know we were trying to get a law school too, Mr. Ford, and they let somebody creep in there, and then what he did was he made like some type of bridge program. So instead of giving us our own law school, he gave us a bridge program, a pathway for us to go to the white school. I want to say Old Miss. That was our former president that just left. He made a bridge program instead of for our own law school, which I think we should do, especially in the city, in the capital.
That's right. You're the largest urban university in Jackson, Mississippi. You should have a law school. Jackson State should have a. Now I tell you what, it probably was on the mind of Dr. Carolyn Myers. I wouldn't put it past her now. It probably was on her mind. Yeah. It was only one thing she couldn't do, Mr. Mona. You know what that was, right?
What?
She didn't know how to run a world-class athletic program.
Well, some folks, if you don't know how to run it, you just leave that to the people that do know how.
Well, she went and got the worst person she could have got. She went and got Vivian Fuller.
You be
Dr. Vivian Fuller. And she represented chaos and confusion.
Well, we want the all red back. We want the all red back. Old Miss is not allowing anyone else to have a law school nor a medical school in Mississippi.
I hear you, Brother Moore.
So, speaking of FAMU presidents,
Dr. Frederick Humphrey, one of the greatest ever.
Before you go to sleep, because I know you're ready to get up off of here.
Yeah, I got to get ready to get on out of here.
Did you hear the lady that was being interviewed, Marva? Did you hear what she told them folks?
No,
She basically they were asking her questions and stuff like that, and she's like, just because you say doesn't make it true. What? She was talking reckless on those on here. I'm getting ready to put you up so you can see it. So she is the day 3 presidential candidate, Marva Johnson. She has her Juris Doctorate. She's interviewing with the Board of Trustees along with meeting faculty, staff, students, alumni, and our awesome community. And they do not like her because she doesn't have any HBCU ties. She has no higher education learning.
Yeah, this is the lady that's supposed to be the agent for the MAGA crowd, right?
That's what they saying, that she's a
Yeah,
basically.
you know, what's her name came down to Tallahassee and rallied the troops. Will Packer. Will says she got to go. Run. We don't need you and get lost.
I'm Marva Johnson. I'm here today for the FAMU presidential search.
I just asked her a whole bunch of questions, and like overall, like her answers.
She doesn't have any HBCU ties. You know, they
Yeah,
think that
she's an agent. She's supposed to be an agent of MAGA. That's what of the MAGA crowd down in Florida. She worked for Rick Scott, and then she worked for Ron DeSantis. So you already know what that's all about. Yeah, you know what that's all about.
She told me. Lord have mercy. She asked for $750,000 salary in her application. The one with the least experience asked for the most amount of money, $300,000 more than others.
Okay.
And yeah, like you said, Will Packer is definitely.
Oh yeah, Will wants her to get lost.
Not get lost.
Yeah, he wants her to get lost, baby. Don't even come about what they call it, Warnish Wade. I think they changed it from Warnish Wade to Althea Gibson. They don't want her to ever look that way. Don't ever ride on that road again.
So they did have a meet and greet yesterday with FAMU alumni, and it was very packed. And Will Packer, Lawrence Humphreys, the son of FAMU's former president, Frederick Humphreys, was
Dr. Frederick Humphreys. He was brilliant. You know, I met him. Did I tell you that?
No, you didn't say that.
I met him. I met Dr. Hefner. Jackson State, he's deceased now. Dr. James Hefner, I think they were all at the funeral of my president. My president was Dr. Johnson out at Grambling. His wife passed. And 5 or 6 former HBCU presidents came. I met Dr. Humphreys. I met Dr. James Hefner. He was one when I was a student at Grambling. He was the president of Jackson State. Yeah, that was back in the 80s.
So you know, you get the wrong president in there, like you said, Mr. Ford.
They'll tap your school. They'll tap your school. They'll set you back 20 years.
Leading an institution of higher learning.
Right.
So everything she talked about, she was talking about it as if she was in corporate America.
Yeah.
Her answers were all theory and corporate jargon.
Yeah, she's gonna come in and cut people. Come in and the strongest people on the faculty, she's gonna get rid of them. That's what she's gonna do.
She's gonna get rid of the strong faculty?
Yeah, the best people. That's what I'm telling you, she's MAGA. She's MAGA, which means she's dangerous. She's she'll do that school irreparable harm.
Well, yeah. I know, like, I'm trying to understand how this works, just because FAMU has a little bit more say in their board, right? There are a lot of FAMU alum on that board. So I'm trying to figure out how it's being pushed through.
Because she has the backing of the
DeSantis?
The state government there in Tallahassee. Yeah, remember, she worked for Rick Scott, a Klansman, and she worked for this xenophobic clown DeSantis. Yeah, this is their agent. This is their agent. Yeah.
Just like other states, the governor appoints the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, Miss KD, you know, we kind of we claim Dr. Hefner, you know, he went to Atlanta University. He was an economist. He the part of his education was at Atlanta University, so we kind of claim him. We claim him.
You claim who?
Dr. Hefner, you know, he studied at, look, pull up his biography. I think he studied at Atlanta University.
Okay, I was trying to look at the FAMU Board of Trustees.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just said. But he did. He studied at Atlanta University. You know, it's called Clark Atlanta University.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks on this Board of Trustees. I see that went to FAMU.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's, I want to say, more than 6 people that have degrees from FAMU. So that's why I'm kind of confused as to, I mean, they're saying that it's money, but basically you got a whole bunch of trustees on here, and everybody that I see on here, it says that they got a degree from FAMU. So make that make sense, unless there are people that are on the board who also feel like FAMU needs a change in direction.
No, they are following the directions of the governor.
Oh, okay.
You
Some of these
serve at the purview of the governor, Ron DeSantis.
selling their university. They are selling their university.
Yeah.
Hell, I wish we I think we only have one representative at the highest level, which is IHL, Dr. Cunningham. Other than that, we don't have that. But I'm looking at the board. I remember kind of looking them over whenever they were doing the fallout with the 237. And a lot of these board members have degrees from FAMU.
Yeah.
Chair Kristen Harper, she has a bachelor and an MBA from FAMU. Dr. Jamal Brown, FAMU faculty senate president and a professor. John Crossman, he was on Bethune-Cookman and FAMU's board.
Yeah, and he had a daughter, I think, worked at FAM or something. Yeah, I remember him.
Attorney Figures, she also went to FAMU.
Yeah.
Emory A. Gainey, it says that he has a bachelor's degree from University of Florida. Okay, associate's degree from Santa Fe College. So it doesn't look like he's FAMU related, but Vice Chair Devron Gibbons, bachelor's degree from University of Florida. He has a master's in business administration from FAMU. Kelvin Lawson, he is a Florida A&M graduate. Belvin Perry, he received his bachelor's and master's from Tuskegee University and Juris Doctorate from Thurgood Marshall School of Law at Texas Southern University.
Right.
Okay. Craig Reed, a bachelor's degree from Florida A&M. Nicole Washington. Her bachelor's is from Princeton University and master's from Teachers College, Columbia University. So Michael White, let's see where he got his. I don't see, they didn't put in his educational stuff. But anyway, as you can see, how many folks did I just say had a FAMU degree? That's a lot of folks on a board that have a FAMU degree, meaning they should have more say. It says all our states are Republican ran, including the governor. It is rare to be on an educational board and not be favored by the governor, regardless of where you graduate. Mr. Moore, I think my point was that they have a lot of FAMU folks on that board. That's all I was saying. There's a lot of folks. That's all. There was a lot of folks that were, so hopefully they will be able to get one of the other possible candidates. Yep, Dr. Glennon Glover was my dean, College of Business. What is going on in this chat? Well, I think Mr. Ford phone died or he got off, which it's his bedtime. He goes to bed at about 11 on school nights. So before we go to sleep, I want to play this. Our ladies softball team is at the 2025 NCAA softball Tuscaloosa Regional Media Day. And so I'm going to go ahead and play that before we leave out. I pray we get an awesome president. You know what? There's been Mr. Moore. That's what I'm trying to tell you. IHL is not set up like that. I want to say it's 1 or 2, one from Alcorn State and one from Jackson State. But our board's not set up like that. Like, it's totally different. I know you're saying that they have the governor's favor, but I'm going to choose my institution all day, every day. So that's why I was just trying to figure out how, with that many FAMU alums on the board, is she able to get to that finalist spot? If they just would come together like how they did to get to make sure that the coach didn't get more than a 1-year deal, their previous coach, if they can come together and lock that up, or if they can come together and get rid of the AD, use that power to get rid of she got there because the governor had her put there. Simple. I don't know. And I still say, how is there a final vote or something that goes down to where they make the final? Do they have a final vote? Is there a final vote? Because if there is a final vote and the majority of the folks in the board of trustees are FAMU alums, then shut it down. Shut it down. I know you guys are saying that they don't have that power, but Dr. Hankins, Alcorn State's former president, is the leader of IHL. Right. Yeah. So IHL, we have Dr. Cunningham, and then even if they totally go against the governor, it would make life a problem with funding. Let me go ahead and play this. I understand. She don't look like she knows anything about anything. And even though, let me just say this before I play this video. The past our past president that just resigned, even though he was literally an administrative assistant for IHL, and they literally probably got him from copying papers, and he didn't submit a any type of application to be president of Jackson State. I will say this, in terms of the trajectory of Jackson State, and him, well, first of all, he does have a degree from Jackson State. But one thing that he did do is, okay, so he's obviously a conservative, obviously Republican. I will say this, he utilized his relationships as a Republican and not to necessarily like coon like some of these folks will have you out here being embarrassed about. He utilized them to get funding, right? He utilized those relationships that he had with Republicans for the betterment of Jackson State. And for a lot of folks, like, that can't be said the same for other when governors appoint certain presidents. So even though he clearly did not have or out qualify some of the folks that applied, I did feel like he appointed people that did have those qualifications. We allow the mindset that is running our country, the country and our states, to win the elections, and now we're at gunfights with plastic knives. I would venture to say we've always been running around with the plastic knives.
We have senior outfielder Mari Stevens and head coach Kevin Montgomery.
Chris, you give me a heads up.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's begin with the statement, and then we'll take questions.
We're happy to be here. We're happy to represent the SWAC conference and to be in this Alabama region to compete in the regional. Well, we built our schedule for this. Like when we took the trip to Hawaii, Washington was on that ticket, Hawaii was on that ticket. So we use that as our stepping stone. Like we knew that going into Hawaii, be a beautiful stadium, it's going to be fans and you know, you're going to get the ambiance of being in a big atmosphere. So we just kind of took all that in, and you just tell the kids just play ball. Like don't worry about nothing that's there. Like the SWAC tournament was just as exciting as this game is going to be. You know, for those new kids, but those old kids, I think they're ready for this. They're now like, I was on the bus with them a minute ago. Like, y'all not as excited as I want y'all to be. Last year we was excited, we were ready to go. This year they're just like, you know what, we're just ready to play. You know, let's just get this game. Let's get it to this game. We're not worried about Alabama. We just want to get in here and play some ball. It's big in recruiting. Everybody wants to play with a winner, and I mean, we that's been our outlook ever since we've been here. Though we want to win, we want to put together a good program, whether we fall short or not. You know, we put our best foot forward every year to make sure that we are recruiting the right kids that want to be in the program and accepting the right kids that want to be in the program. And if you come in and you're able to buy in to Coach Montgomery, you're destined to be a winner.
One question. They literally asked one question. I've never been to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Hey, Ladarius. How you doing? I would like to, of course, thank Mrs. Sweeney and my nephew Jay for making those donations to the platform. So when it gets demonetized, I can just leave it alone, because when you leave it alone, you can still read the chat. But if you like try to edit the live so that if you try to edit the live, then it will not allow you to read the chat. And so as you all know, we're getting ready to end, and I want to end this. This applies to Southern versus Jackson State. Jackson State coming out with a win tonight, 8-7. I believe, maybe Tiger Nation the undefeated said that Jackson State won. So I'm going to leave out with this and then leave out with my favorite song. I will see you guys Saturday.
Hey, you know, I don't know what you want me to say, how you want me to say it, but this is my goddamn field.
Oh my goodness, here we go.
It belongs to me.
Here we go.
You know it. Hey, you know, I don't know what you want me to say, how you want me to say it, but this is my goddamn field.
Oh my goodness, here we go.
Swag. It belongs to me.
Here we go.
You know it. Hey, you know, I don't know what you want me to say, how you want me to say it, but this is my goddamn field.
I've had some weary days and some sleepless nights, but when I look around, I think things over. All of my good days outweigh my bad days. I don't control. The clouds hang low. I can hardly see the road. I ask the question, Lord. Lord, why so much pain? But He knows one day from me. Although my weary eyes, they can't see. So I'll just say, thank you, Lord. I won't complain. But He is so good to me. He's been good to me. More than this world I could ever be. He's been so good. But He knows one day from me. Although my weary eyes, they can't see. So I'll just say, thank you, Lord. I won't complain. I've been misunderstood, but thank you, Lord.